It's the next 1000 on the calendar. It feels like probably the most unique clay tournament of the calendar at the 1000 level, just with the altitude change and the speed and the way this surface plays in comparison to Monte Carlo. It's quite different. Alexander Zverev getting that title, he gets the number 1 seed. Carlos Alcaraz down at number 2. Novak Djokovic will be back in competition. Obviously, disappointing start for him, losing his first clay court match. Let's start with maybe kind of top half of the draw. Alexander Zverev looking for signs of trouble, and Davidovich Fokina is kind of lurking there for a possible early round matchup. Someone who's I would call a clay court specialist and maybe dangerous and could pull off an upset.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Zverev's got some names in his section that could be that are very dangerous. I mean, Fokina obviously is like 8 in the race this year, and he's just shown a great level of consistency that's been nice to see from him. And he'll be playing at home, so
Yep.
certainly a match to circle. As far as everyone's concerned, he's also got Fils in his section and Cerundolo as well. So, and Cerundo beat Zverev last year in Madrid, so he's certainly got his work cut out for him. But if he keeps playing the way he has, the serve is obviously going to do really well in that altitude. And he's you start your match on Friday, Saturday, and so carrying that momentum, he has done like the Munich Madrid double before, so it is something that he's still going to be the favorite, I think, to get out of a section like this. But it's going to be fun to see if he can remedy those, like the Arthur Fils matchup has been one of my favorite matches on the tour. The contrast between Fils and Zverev and the matches they've played. So you know if we get that combined with the Fokina one, I think it'll be a good sign to see if Zverev is really headed in that direction for Roland Garros.
Yeah, as you said, I'm looking now. Major tests early on. As you said, Arthur Fils in that corner. He's the 13th seed, just below there. Ben Shelton, who finaled in Munich and is the 12th seed at this event. Obviously not a clay court player, but you look at kind of the explosive heavy kick serve, which he can hit, the very heavyweight forehand with that spin that can jump up on the clay. I think there are a lot of qualities to his game. He has pretty good backhand slice too. I think a lot of qualities can translate to this surface where it feels like he's getting a bit better on it every single season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think last year he won the title in Houston, which obviously plays very different from European clay, but
It does. Yep.
it was clear that the extra time definitely certainly helps him in some situations. You can also serve and volley on a hot day, on clay,
Mhm.
and you can have some success certainly with the higher bounce. And he's improved, I think, some areas of his game when it comes to his patience and trusting his game more from the back of the court when he doesn't have the serve. It's still obviously, there's still some consistency question marks, and obviously there's still a lot of matches that are kind of down to the wire lottery, like the first round against Bornagoyo. And so he's
Yeah.
always going to be in such situations like that for now. But to make a first 500 clay court final is already a huge step. I mean, no, apart from Andre Agassi in 2002, that hasn't really been done, mostly because a lot of Americans don't, tend to focus so much on this part of the calendar. But it's great to see this from him. And there's no reason why he can't be in a second weekend at Roland Garros with the right kind of conditions and draw.
Yeah, no, definitely. You hit the nail on the head. Novak Djokovic, I want to talk about his section here. Just taking a look, number 4 seed. He says Roland Garros is obviously the priority. We don't know like how many notches he's going to kind of turn it up in terms of intensity for a Masters 1000. I think he'd like to probably protect his seed and hold a nice ranking when he does go to the French Open. And looking at his section, I mean, Sebastian Baez, the Argentinian, is pretty dangerous on the surface. Apart from that, like it looks like a pretty decent path maybe for Novak to kind of get his way into a quarterfinal if he's kind of sharp and dialed in. But that's sort of the question mark. We haven't seen him string together matches where we see the best of Djokovic. It's been a bit of a struggle.
But yeah, I mean, these next few couple of months are going to tell us a lot more about where Novak is in terms of his career and what he's looking out to do as far as the rest of his career goes. Like I think like the reset from Monte Carlo, I think the extra time off definitely should help him. He's been
Yeah.
practicing on site the last couple of days. We've seen photos of that, and he looks to be, I think, raring to go with Andy Murray there. And it's a tournament he hasn't been back to at since 2022, and it was kind of similar in Miami where he lost early in Indian Wells. He had a lot of extra time in between. He got to the site early, and I think it's a server-friendly conditions as well, which definitely should help him. If some of the other areas of his game aren't quite as sharp, We saw that in Miami, some of the best serving performances of his career
Oh
before he
yeah.
got to the final against Menchik.
Yep.
And in conditions like this, I think that could definitely reward him. And like you said, I think the draw is kind. Like definitely you've got some talented players like David Goffin and Matteo Rinaldi and Ugo Umber. That's probably the clay court that he would like the most.
Mhm.
So definitely. But I think it's more kind of hard court players in his section, and I think if he does end up getting to the quarters and semis, then he has a real shot at winning this.
Let's go down to the bottom half of the draw. Carlos Alcaraz, number 2 seed. Possibly some danger in the fact that, I mean, he has 5 losses this season. One of them was to Yuri Lehechka. Of course, different surface on the hard court, but Lehechka feels like, for the most part, an all-court player. He's dangerous. I believe he made semifinals of Madrid last year,
That's
before
correct.
that back injury, had to retire against Felix Auger-Aliassime. So this is kind of a danger spot early round if Carlos is sort of feeling the pressure. He will have at least some time off before he gets going here, but I would say that could be, one to circle early on in this field. Can Carlitos get by Lehechka if that is the case and that is the matchup?
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because he lost to Lehechka earlier this year in Doha, and Lehechka, played a really good match last year against Nadal as well. Just
Yep.
served so phenomenally well, and obviously from the backcourt with his kind of ball striking, it's always tough for any player to deal with that. And Carlos is also coming off of the niggle that he suffered in the Barcelona final with the adductor injury, so there's question marks there of, should he risk it? Should he play it a little safer? Can he work his way into the tournament because he does start on Saturday, so that
Yeah.
does give him a few more extra days. But yeah, like his section, like maybe the first couple of maybe the first round is workable, but then the Hechka, potentially Tomas Mahach, if Mahach, is able to stay healthy, that's another player who can certainly cause problems. And then obviously you've got whoever the quarterfinalists, Djokovic in the semis. So it's not going to be easy for Carlos, I think, this tournament around. Especially also, yeah, he's defending like 200 points, but there is some pressure certainly from the public for him to play, and he's got, yeah, like his work cut out for him. But it's certainly, but obviously Carlos has having won this twice, and the experience that he's already gained on, and the form that we've seen the last couple of weeks, it would not shock anyone if he managed to make his way through.
No, no, certainly not. I mean, another couple players, clay court players, in a sense. Stefanos Tsitsipas has had success, obviously, on the hard courts as well. But I'm interested if we get that one-handed backhand showdown potentially between Tsitsipas and Musetti, who are in that bottom half of the bracket. If they clash, we saw some great tennis from Musetti just a couple weeks ago before, his body kind of gave out physically against Alcaraz in the final. But if you kind of step back here, he gets the week off, take a little time. He's feeling refreshed. There's no reason to think he can unlock those weapons again in Madrid, even if this surface plays a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see the adjustments that he makes, because obviously from Monte Carlo, it's a little bit different for Lorenzo, and he likes to play a little further back. So I'm curious when he does play against a more kind of very offensive minded player, like if he does play a Ahmad Medjedovic, for example, in the first round. I'm curious
Yep.
to see if if he's able to kind of translate that game and make it work like he was in Monaco. And obviously Tsitsipas also has a tough test if he potentially plays Jan Lennart Struff, who's obviously not been in great form, but this is a tournament and memories that he does. That can come back to him having made the final and beating Stefanos on road in 2023. So, but I'm just like you as well. I'm a sucker for two good one-hander backhands to
Totally.
face one another, and
For
that
sure.
rivalry has been fun to watch over the years, and hopefully we get that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. This is a tough spot as we wrap up. I want to touch on the Canadians. This is a really tough spot, I think, for Felix Auger-Aliassime going into this tournament, defending finals points. It was a strange year last year making that run because he benefited from a walkover from Yannick Sinner. I mentioned Lehechka getting the back injury in the semifinal. One of his other opponents, I believe, got sick after one set. So it was unusual, and now he comes in definitely looking rusty because he went out early in Munich. Doesn't really have the reps on clay, and Indian Wells and Miami were a struggle after it felt like Felix had kind of turned a corner, winning a couple hard court events, winning indoors. Do you think FAA can at least get himself a couple confidence wins here in Madrid to kind of salvage this situation. He doesn't want to, suffer a drop in ranking pretty badly if he's going out early here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, he was 16-4 in the first couple of months, and
Yeah,
the title was the Dubai final as well. It's been tough for him as well, losing that really tight match in Munich. Doesn't do wonders for your confidence, but at the same time, hopefully, with uh, the first couple of rounds, if he does play a Kovacevic, kind of works his way in. Daniil Medvedev, a lot of question marks around him, which is the other
yeah,
seed in his section. And you got Runa, who might be, he could hit a physical wall. That's certainly possible. And, Felix has had some success against Runa in faster conditions. So it's not impossible for me to imagine a situation where Felix is able to kind of, bring some of his best tennis. He did beat Casper Ruud here last year, was coming off of some really good tennis.
that's true.
And that was, that was his best win for sure on road to that final. And so yeah, Felix is always someone I just root for because yeah, he's just such a nice guy, and the talent was very obvious when he was coming up in especially 2018 and 19. So would
Yeah,
have been nice for Felix to right the ship here, and these are friendlier clay court conditions for him on his
Yeah,
side.
they definitely suit his game. I think a little bit more. I have concerns as well for Denis Shapovalov, who again, I mean, he had been playing great. That huge win in Dallas, the biggest title of his career at that ATP 500. Changed to clay. I figure maybe he needs a little more time to adapt to the surface, but he lost to the world number 549. Got sick in that second set. Diego Dodura Palomero defeating him, and then kind of taking on one of the weirdest celebrations I've ever seen on a tennis court. If you saw that, drawing at the cross and laying across the clay court as if he was Jesus on the crucifixion. A little unusual. Not my personal favorite, but at least it got us talking. I don't know. Maybe Dennis can bounce back here in Madrid, at least get a win or two, to get going in the right direction because he's played well in the past on clay. For example, Rome, he beat Rafa, a few years ago. It's not like he doesn't know how to compete on this surface.
But yeah, and he's made the semifinals here in Madrid in 2018 as well. So
Yeah, we're going way back. Yeah,
um, um, and yeah, like I mean, similar to Felix as well. Like that stretch from Dallas and Acapulco was really strong from him, but it's been a little tougher for him. Hopefully, he's feeling better health-wise from the illness that he had to retire from. But right up, he could play maybe Kei Nishikori again, and we'll see if he does play Alex de Minaur. That will really sort of test his patience
hmm
from the back of the court, and he's certainly capable of going on a big run. I think the somewhat covered conditions in Madrid can also help him as well. He's a good player like indoors. I'm not saying, I mean, Madrid is obviously a lot of it is outdoors, but
yeah,
if he does end up playing a big match on stadium, maybe we could see him bring out some of his best tennis in a more controlled environment. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
yeah. No, that's exactly what he would need. All right, as we wrap up, let's get the predictions. I'm putting you on the spot, Vanch. Who you got winning Madrid?
I'm kind of tempted to go with someone very new who, just because the Masters 1000s lately, with Sinner not playing and Djokovic kind of being a little bit of a question mark. But then I kind of went through the whole possibilities, and I'm kind of not feeling like going on a super bold pick here, just because we don't have that much data to work off of
It's true.
for a tournament like this, especially. So I'm kind of sticking with this Zverev and Djokovic final.
Zverev
Um,
Djokovic. Okay.
yeah, and I kind of think maybe the extra time off and uh, the extra time off for Novak after losing early in Monte Carlo and these kind of conditions, maybe we can see him right the ship again here and try to go for title number 100.
No, I love it. I want to see him hit that century mark at some point. Whether or not it happens in Madrid, we'll have to see. I wanted to make a super the idea that it's a wild pick because he's such a fantastic clay court player, but it's been a struggle. I wanted to go off the radar and say Casper Ruud is going to play his best tournament of the year, but I haven't seen quite enough from him to suggest it. He started playing a little bit better in Barcelona before falling to Holger Rune. I believe that was quarterfinals. I just think if Carlos Alcaraz kind of survives quite unscathed through the first 2 to 3 matches, that he's going to hit that next gear. And I'm just not convinced Novak Djokovic in the Masters 1000 format, unlike an Olympic match, is going to be able to completely empty the tank to beat him. And just having that home crowd support behind him, I'm going Carlitos, which I know is, I guess, kind of probably the safe pick.
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go with Alcaraz anyway. I want you guys watching. Let us know in the comments who you have winning Madrid. Vanch, it's always a blast to have you on the show on Matchpoint Canada, and I know we can check out all the action over on Tennis One as well on YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I mean, obviously, Alcaraz Djokovic semifinal would be absolutely fantastic, and
It would be.
mouth watering for the next time we chat for sure. But yeah, you can find me. You can find me across all the Tennis One socials as well. So at Tennis One app, obviously my main Twitter page at bunchv2k. And I also have another podcast that I'm part of with Damon Coast. It's called the Iga and Carlos Tennis Show, where we cover those two players in great depth. So you can follow that at Iga Carlos Tennis.
Thank you guys so much for watching us at Matchpoint Canada. If you like our work, follow along, hit the subscribe button below.